us now is high-powered realtor turned author Christine Denty. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you, Christine.
What a lovely name.
This is going to get confusing.
So the book that you have authored is called The Girlfriend's Fabulous Guide to Real Estate, the Women's Manual to Buying, Owning, and Selling a Home. So the question is, why do women need their own book to guide them?
I think because it is a market that we haven't really done a lot of products for women owning and buying a home. So, I mean, it's pretty generalized, the real estate market, when it comes to information. So I thought I would do a woman's manual specific to women because it's increasing more and more that women are buying more homes, more single women than men, actually.
Do you know what percentage it makes up now?
It's about 20% right now, and it's on the rise, whereas with men it's about 18%.
Well, that's interesting. I bought my first house when I was 25. It was $117,000. I think I paid more for the pool recently. But now it's sold. The same house sold recently for $1 million.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It is. The market keeps going up and up.
So why do we think that more women are going to be part of this market as opposed to men? Why? Mm-hmm. Why?
I believe that women are seeking independence more and more, and with the divorce rate, what's happening is women are less likely to become dependent on a man the second time around. So they're becoming more and more independent and wanting to do things on their own, and they're getting the high-profile jobs, high-power jobs, and supporting themselves financially. And that being said, they're venturing into real estate completely on their own. And they're not relying on men to support them going into that venture.
Quick question for you. Heard some stats that millennials are shrinking away from buying houses, which Kate and I don't believe. But are you finding that it's more an older women's market or a younger women's market? And what is your experience with millennials?
My take right now is not that they don't desire to buy a home. I believe that the prices of homes are becoming so out of reach. In the past 5 or 6 years, real estate prices have almost doubled. But I can honestly say if I was in my previous salaried job that I was in before, there's no way my salary is double. So the purchasing power is becoming less and less. And unfortunately with millennials, they're having a harder time securing that down payment to chase a home price that keeps going up and up and up.
Well, you live in Brooklyn.
Yes.
Right now, that's a great, huge up-and-coming area. But
yes.
My friend's children recently two of them bought their first houses in Oshawa, and one of them has just sold it, and great, well done, and moved to Port Perry because now they have 2 children, so they wanted more space there. So are you seeing the millennials the ones that don't want to live in a small condo right downtown, moving to the burbs?
They definitely are, and with transit expanding itself more northward and eastward and westward, people are able to move further and further from the city, and they're able to get more house for their buck.
Absolutely.
So tell us some of the myths about home buying and selling, because I know there are tons of them.
One myth, which I think is kind of funny, if the realtor drives a really nice car, she or he, I like to say she, must be successful. That's not always the case. Sometimes someone might buy a car to impress other people. You really have to sit down and talk with someone to find out their experience, make sure that they're at it full time. But sometimes you can't judge a book by its cover.
Right. Now, I remember when I sold my house, I interviewed realtors, and I had friends who were in shock and saying, "You don't do that." And I said, "Why not? Why can't I interview a realtor?"
Yeah. You definitely should interview a realtor because you want to find out their experience and even just how they compose themselves with you, how seriously they take their business, because you might think, okay, on this brochure, this realtor, I mean, they look awesome and they're slick and I think they're going to do a great job, and then you get them across from your table and there's no way that you would trust them to sell your home because they may have come across in a certain way that you just don't trust.
Is this somebody you should have a relationship with? That you should like this person, you should click with this person, or does it matter?
I think so, because when everything happens, you have to have really good communication with that realtor. Whether you don't have to love them, but at the same time, because sometimes the realtor has to be the bad guy, and I tell my clients, you're not going to love me the whole way through. You're not, because, you know why? Because I'm going to tell you the truth.
Right.
And you're going to hear the truth. And then by the time it's said and done, I mean, I have enough supporting information when I'm trying to state something to my client to basically prove my point. But they're not going to love me every day, and I don't want them to, because we have to have that honest relationship.
What about the thought that you may need a realtor to sell your home, but you don't need one to buy a home, because if you walk up and say, I'm interested in buying the home, you're the person who's selling it's new best friend?
Well, I strictly don't believe in doing that. I actually never double-end a deal. And what that means, double-ending means I sell someone's home and as well I secure the buyer. Mm-hmm. Reason being, it's a little bit like you go to court. You can't have the lawyer on the defense and on the offense. And it's not to say that we're against each other, but you want someone who's completely looking after your best behalf. And it's hard to do that if your realtor is looking after the buyer for the sale of your home, because, I mean, they want everybody to be happy, but it's very hard for them to not be biased at some point throughout that transaction.
So talk to us about how to price a home, especially in today's market, because I hear people talking about they'll put the price low, so then
$1.
They make it starts a bidding war, and other people don't. They have a bottom line. I mean, what is your advice?
What I do is I look at the most recent comparables of what's sold, and that's how I price the home, pretty much bang on. Reason being, realtors aren't stupid, buyers aren't stupid. If you underprice the home and you start a bidding war, what happens is there's two things that can go wrong. You're losing potentially a very good buyer because they're speculative about your price. And the other thing is you are attracting buyers that is their price range. And if you've underpriced and it goes up, then what happens is you're not going to have necessarily qualified buyers anymore because it's above their price range. So you want to price it accurately so that the people that are going to be making an offer are qualified to buy a home in that price range.
But don't you find that a lot of people are afraid about the whole process now because they hear these horror stories of a house at, let's say, $1 million, and then it sells for $1.4 million, and people just don't know what they're walking into?
Yes, and it is scary. It has changed quite a bit. I've had some buyers I've been working with much longer because we're back to the drawing board because we're not willing to pay a certain amount for that home, and it's not worth that. And what if the banker says, well, you've overpaid, we're not giving you a mortgage for that amount. You have to bridge the gap because unfortunately you decided to go firm and waive financing, and it's really scary. So I think if, for example, you qualify to buy a home for $500,000, right now you can't go and look for houses for $500,000. You have to look for a house for maybe $450,000, maybe $440,000, because chances are you're going to have to offer a little bit more, and you need that bridge, that gap.
And also, people don't consider the massive closing costs.
Yes, yes. You have your lawyer's fees, you have land transfer tax. If you're selling, you may have a staging bill to pay as well. So,
Why was this book designed as a girlfriend's guide?
I wanted to be in the voice of a girlfriend. So, for example, if you're going through something hard in your life, you can imagine those nights sipping wine with your friends that you're the closest to, and they're giving you advice. I mean, as long as they're not completely drunk or after your husband or something like that, right? So,
do you know us well?
I do have a glass of wine on the cover of the book, right? So it's in the voice of a girlfriend, someone that you would really trust. And with this book, I literally wrote it throughout the stages of my divorce. And actually, my dad had passed away, and we had to deal with his estate as well. So I made sure that during that time I had done real estate before, but I was really focused on learning a little bit more during that process. So as I wrote the book, I was actually going through a lot of these stages myself. Almost a little bit like Taylor Swift when she writes her music. So my fiance, he's like, okay, so you're not going to be writing like a new divorce chapter or anything like that, right? I'm like, honey, no, we're fine.
Okay, so tell us how people can get the book.
You can purchase the book on Amazon. It's also on Kobo, Nobles, and Barnes & Noble. So any online book retail outlet, it's pretty much on there.
And if they want to get in touch with you, tell us your social media stuff.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. Christine Denty is pretty much my Facebook tag everywhere. It's not the most popular name.
D-E-N-T-Y.
D-E-N-T-Y, yes. So Facebook, LinkedIn, it's all. And my website for the book is denty.ca. And for real estate, if someone's looking for more information about real estate, it's sellthishouse.tv.
Wow, that's a great great address to have.
Thank you.
All right. right. Well, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. And once again, this is What She Said on The Jewel. You can follow us on social media at What She Said Talk. Stay with us.